Hey, this is Matt from MasterSketchup.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to become more efficient in your use of scrapbooks in LayOut. So when you purchase SketchUp Pro, you get this other program called LayOut, which lets you take your 3D model and create two-dimensional presentations of it. So you can create construction documents and slideshows and things like that. And one of the tools that you get with LayOut is the Scrapbooks panel. And what that is a library of pre-made elements that you can sample and drop into your model. So instead of having to draw this detail from scratch, I can just go into the scrapbook, click it, and bring it into my document. So in order to use scrapbooks, you just need to go up to Window, and more than likely you're just going to have the default tray, and you just want to make sure the scrapbooks is enabled. What I've done is I've actually created a separate tray dedicated to the scrapbooks, so I can actually toggle back and forth. This is probably more what your screen will look like. All the different trays here, all the different panels arranged in one tray, but I've created a separate tray that's dedicated for the scrapbooks, and that just gives me more space in my in LayOut to view the scrapbooks, because I found that the scrapbooks are kind of hard to see sometimes. If you'd like to learn how to do this, I actually created another video that shows you how to set this up, and you can check that out. So in this video, what I want to do is show you 5 tips that I use to become more efficient with my time when using scrapbook items. So the scrapbook that I typically use most often is one of the default scrapbooks, which is the TB Simple Serif. The ones that I use most often are this detail label right here, and you can navigate to the different pages of the scrapbooks using these buttons here. I also use this call out quite often, and I also use these elevation markers quite frequently as well. So what I want to do is show you some specific improvements that I've made to the scrapbook elements that you can use in your own scrapbooks, whether you're creating a custom scrapbook or if you want to do the same thing and edit these default ones. So in order to edit a scrapbook, the first thing you need to understand is a scrapbook, all it is a layout file that's been saved with a special extension, a special file extension. So if you click this button right here, the edit button, it'll open up a new tab. So it's essentially just going to open up this layout file. So here it is. So right now I'm editing the default scrapbook, the TB Simple Serif scrapbook. And if I go back to my pages panel, these pages are literally the same pages that you're navigating through when you're navigating through in the scrapbook. So when I'm in the scrapbook panel and going back and forth here, that's the same thing as the pages that you see here in the layout file that is saved as a scrapbook. So we can actually edit these elements, and each one of these elements are just grouped together, and you can change them and save the scrapbook. So if I went and tried to save this as is, I'm going to get an error just because the default location where the scrapbook is saved is in a protected file location in Windows. So what I'll actually do is a save as scrapbook, and it'll save it. I can choose where I want to save it as a custom scrapbook. So the first tip I want to show you is how to navigate the groups more efficiently. So if I go back to my sample project here, and let's say I want to insert let me go to my scrapbooks, and I want to insert this call out, this detail call out right here. So I just clicked on it, and I'm going to just drop that right there. Now let's say I want to edit the page number. So in order to do that, I need to double click on this this group, and there's actually another group in here, so I have to double click a second time, and I still can't edit the text. I have to double click a third time. So there are actually 3 groups that make up this object before I can actually double click and edit the text. So let's say I change this to page number 3, and I want to now escape out of the group. I'd have to click once, click again. It's just really cumbersome to click outside, because you have to make sure you're clicking away from the group in order to back out of the group. So let me show you that one more time. So I'm going to double click, double click, double click, double click, and I'll change that page number. And then in order to back out of the group, I have to click somewhere outside of the boundary. So I have to click again, click again. And one thing I find myself doing all the time is double clicking, because I'm in that rhythm of double click, double click, double click, and then I just find myself double clicking to get out of it. And it just takes a lot of time. So my first tip is to use the escape key to back out of groups. So if I'm inside this group, double clicking, double clicking, double clicking, and let's say I'm changing this number here. So I just changed the number. Now I'm going to tap the escape key and show you how quickly I can back out of this group. So I'm just going to tap the escape key a few times, and I'm out of the group. So it's a lot faster. So my first tip is to use the escape key whenever you're backing out of a group. Now, this tip is also helpful as a side note inside Sketchup. Whenever you're in a group or a component, use the escape key to back out of it. It's just a lot faster than trying to click in a space outside of the group. So my second tip is reduce the number of groups that make up your scrapbook elements altogether. So there's really no reason to have all of these groups nested within one another. It just takes so much more time to edit the actual page number, because that's something that is guaranteed. You have to edit that page number and the detail number every single time. So why make it that difficult to get to it? So let's jump back to the scrapbook file, and what I'll do is I'm going to explode some of these groups. So you need to have one master group for the scrapbook element, because that is what determines which elements get stamped into your document when you're grabbing stuff from the scrapbooks. So you want to make sure this parent group is intact. But we'll double click to enter that, and I'll select this, right click, and ungroup, and then I'll tap escape to get rid of that selection, jump back into the group, and then this circle, I'll explode that as well. So right click, ungroup. So now when I insert a one of these into a document, if I need to change the page number, I just double click on it, and now I can select the page number and edit it very easily, very quickly. My third tip is to pay attention to how you're creating text in your scrapbook elements. So one thing that I find really annoying, and it's just really an oversight, is see how this page, this detail number text box is actually overlapping this text box here. So a lot of times, if I'm trying to double click on the A33 in order to change that text, sometimes the 3 gets selected inadvertently. So a quick and easy way to fix that is to make the text unbounded. And basically there's 2 different types of text in LayOut. So you can click and drag a box, and that creates a bounded box. And so what that does is it makes all of the text contained within this box. Now the alternative is to have an unbounded box where the size of the text box is determined by the content within it. And that's really what we're looking for here, because you might have a simple page number. It could just be a numerical number, or you might have a certain prefix that you put ahead of it. either way, you want to let that determine the size of the text box. So what we can do is I'm going to jump back into this group, and I'm just going to right click and make unbounded, and you can see it resizes the box according to the content that's within the text box. So you don't want to drag any of these anymore, because then that'll convert it back to a bounded box. There's some extra space on each side of the text, which really it's unnecessary, but this seems to work best. So just go make unbounded, and that'll tighten up the box there. The other thing you want to look at is the alignment. So you want to go to text style panel and make sure that the align center is selected. So go to the number 3, confirm that that's aligned center. And what that'll do is essentially when I double click on the text, if I change it to the number 4 or whatever, it'll automatically center it with the position of the original text box. So this actually occurs in a couple of different elements here. This is another location where the same thing is happening. So you can see the detail number is overlapping the page number. So I'll just do the same thing. I'll jump in here and switch that to unbounded, verify. So this is left align. I want to make sure that's center aligned, and jump down here, make unbounded, confirm that's center aligned, and we're good to go. Now this is another example where this is grouped unnecessarily. There's no reason to have that group, so I'll just right click and ungroup that, and that'll make it easier to edit the page number when I insert that into my documents. Now my fourth tip is to use Autotext whenever it's convenient, whenever it's possible to use it. So for instance, whenever you're inserting a detail label like this, it's a great opportunity to take advantage of Autotext. So instead of having to jump in here and manually type in the number, you can use the Autotext tag to automatically grab the page number of whatever page you insert this detail label on. So let me go back to the scrapbook file, and I'll double click to select this text, and I'll backspace and go to text, insert auto text, and page number, and then I'll tap escape, and you can see that we need to just align it. You can snap to the center and bring it down, and you just want to make sure there's no extra blank space after the auto text, because that will offset the center alignment. And you just confirm that you're center aligned. And so actually, let's go ahead and save this so you can see exactly what this does. So I'll go to File, Save as Scrapbook, and I'll call this TB Custom. And I'm going to select this scrapbook folder because this is a location where I have the permission to save for the through the Windows file system. So I'll click OK. And yes, I want to overwrite it. I apparently already had one there. And so now if I go back to my document here, if I go to my Scrapbooks panel and click the drop down menu, my new scrapbook that I just saved is now appearing in the drop down menu. So I can select that, and this is the detail label that I just updated. So when I drop this into my document, it should show the page number because we used the auto text. So you can see there that it's automatically showing page number 3. So let me go to another page. So I'll go to the floor plan page, and grab the scrapbook, the detail label, and you can see when I drop that in, it's showing page 2, which matches the page number here. So that saves you a little bit of time when you're dropping those types of things onto your document. Now the last tip I have is in regards to these elevation markers. So a lot of times when you're dropping the elevation markers in, you might have a few of them that share the same page number, but because the arrows are pointing in different directions, you have to actually pick a different elevation marker for every single one, and then you have to go ahead and edit the page number on each one. So what I've done is I've created a custom elevation marker that allows me to select the arrow and rotate it. And what that lets me do is once I insert this into my floor plan, I can copy it after I've already typed in the page number. So it saves me a little bit of time and it gives me some more flexibility in the rotation of the arrow. So the way I did this is I essentially created a line that was centered with the circle, and I grouped it with the triangle, and then I made the line invisible so you can see part of the line right here. So let me show you how I did that. So I'm going to start out with a existing elevation marker. I'm going to right click and show grid, and first I need to ungroup this because we need to move around and work with some of the entities here. So I just right clicked and ungrouped that, and I'm going to grab the line tool and I'm going to snap to the grid. You want to make sure grid snap is on, and I'm going to just create a line just like that and then tap escape to finish. And we'll grab this this arrow, and what you want to do is drag the center grip down to the center of the triangle and then snap that to the center of the line. Okay, so once you've grouped the triangle and the line together, you want to align it with the center of the circle. So you can just drag it over till you have that alignment snap, and then you want to put it behind the circle, so you right click, arrange, and send to back. Now the last thing you want to do is hide this line, so just double click so you can select the line and go to shape style, click on the stroke color box here, and that will bring up the color panel where you can then adjust the opacity so it's completely invisible. So that's essentially just going to create a bounding box that's centered with the circle, and that'll let you grab this this rotation handle and rotate the arrow to face whatever direction you want. Now the last thing you want to make sure is that everything is grouped together. So you just select the entire thing, right click and group, and when I go to file, save, I can go back to my floor plan and grab this scrapbook item, drop it in place. I can edit the page number, and I now have a element that I can rotate to whatever the relevant direction it's referring to, and then I can copy it to another location and jump in here and rotate it, and that saves me a little bit of time so I don't have to change the page number each time that I insert one of these elevation markers. So thanks for watching. I hope you found these tips helpful. If you want to learn more about layout, you can check out my book, Sketchup to Layout, at sketchuptolayout.com, and you'll learn all about scrapbooks and all of the basics of using layout and even the advanced techniques that'll teach you how to have full control over the look of your model in LayOut.